Greetings, everyone. So, a while back, I had read something from someone that I actually know, and because of that, I'm isolating what they said from where they said it because I don't think that uh, letting all you guys, gals, and robots out there, uh, you know, have access to that original location would be appropriate. But I just was thinking about this and thinking about it, and I felt the need to share it with you and to talk about it. So I'm going to do that. And let's go ahead and share my entire screen here. There we go. Infinity is hit. Okay, so I'm going to read this in case you can't see it. Hopefully you can. Uh, okay. Mm. All right, here we go. I've been seeing on the news and Facebook about New York legalizing abortion all the way up to 9 months of pregnancy. When I heard about that, man, I was mad. How in the world can a woman go and do that? There are plenty of women out there who medically can't have children, and the women who can are killing their babies while pregnant. I think that if you are pregnant and don't want the baby, let a woman who can't have a baby have it. I'm quite sure she would be happy. A baby is a blessing to have. Why on earth would you have an abortion? Not to mention Virginia is allowing abortions all the way up to full term as well. What has this world come to? I just don't understand how anyone can do that. Do the women who have abortions even feel bad about what they're doing? Do people realize that babies, even when in the mother's womb, can feel pain? And in all other problems in this world, it's ridiculous what this world has come to. The problem with this world is that God has been kicked out of schools, the government, and everywhere else. And since people have turned from God, the world is just getting worse. We need to bring God back. This is a sentiment that I think is shared with a lot of religious folk. And it's I was a believer, so I understand the bubble that you can be in when you're a believer and when you're surrounding yourself with other believers. We all have this innate need to point to something as the cause of the problems that we see. And to have a singular cause is much easier than having multiple causes. So it's a very deep psychological thing that we experience. So here's this problem of abortion, and the person writing this doesn't like the abortion, doesn't understand how people can do that, thinks that there's a simple solution for it, and needs to target what has caused this to be allowed. And so the single target seems like, well, uh, people don't believe in God anymore. Well, it's not just that; it's that people aren't having God in their life anymore, and so they don't have the values that I have, and so because of that, that's why we have all these problems. Okay, let me go to my other thing here. So the history of prayer being removed from schools. I googled that. Very simple, and it's actually been about 50 years. So prayer got removed from schools about 50 years back, and I would argue that was a good thing. And the reason is that in America, it's not a Christian place. It's not one religion. There are many, many people of many different religions. And it's unfair to those people of those faiths to have their kids have to do something that they don't believe in. because you're going to have to pray in a certain way. And also, what purpose does prayer do in education? What rhyme or reason is there to include that as part of school? So it's still, debated, but it is separation of church and state. And this is a clear-cut case. So there's plenty of articles and things that you could look at to explain why that happened and how that happened and why it's actually a good thing for the religious people as well as the non-religious or any other people, because you don't know that it's going to be your version of God taught. You have no idea. Your different denominations out there, you might not be satisfied with how yours is presented. With there's like, oh, they're finally bringing back God into schools, but they're saying Allah instead because the school happens to be majority Muslim. That's not going to sit well with people. It's an all or nothing proposition. Everyone gets to say or no one gets to say. The other part of this is that non-religious countries, there's been plenty of studies on this, but non-religious countries experience better economic growth and overall, you can find other studies, overall better well-being in the society itself. There's tons and tons and tons of studies on that. So I'm going to stop my screen sharing. Okay. So why bringing God back is not a solution is what I've titled this. The things that people don't like that are happening, whatever that might be, whether it's, the abortion issue or, whatever other thing that's out there that's bothering you. We're one nation. There's other nations out there. And we fought several battles and wars against a nation that has a singular religion, Muslim, Islam. They have different sort of flavors of that, different denominations as well, but they're fairly united. Were they a good country? Were they doing well? I don't think so. I think that it's very clear that you look at how women are treated, you look at how men are treated, you look at how people that are non-Muslim are treated, and it's not very good. And you can say, well, that's really Sharia law, and that's not what Islam is, and you can make all these excuses. But the fact of the matter is, it's not a welcoming place unless you are part of their thing. Now, some of the people might be very nice because they want the Americans there, but not everybody's going to be good. Not everybody's going to be kind. Not everybody's going to be welcoming. And other places have other religions, and the fact of the matter is, religion is something that really does drive a wedge between humans, whether that's intentional or not. In fact, many Christians reject the idea of Christianity being a religion and instead say, no, it's a relationship. Oh, okay. Well, it's a relationship that you have with your Lord and Savior. Then you don't get to tell me and other people what to believe or not believe because it's your relationship, not mine. So it's one or the other. You can't have it both ways. If you are saying that you don't really have a religion, then don't try to enforce those views on others. And in fact, don't try to enforce your religious views on others. Now, maybe there are views that you have that are independent of religion. You might say, "Well, I want to try to enforce. I don't want to enforce them on others, but I do want to convince people that these ideas are good." And maybe you want to convince people that your religious ideas are good. That's different than forcing it upon others. There is a difference. When we enact laws or remove laws from the books, we are enforcing some set of values upon other humans. The abortion issue is a difficult one. I don't know what to make of allowing abortion up to the timelines that they're allowing. But I'm gonna let the medical professionals deal with that and the repercussions thereof. What I do know is the data on legalizing and having legal abortion is clear cut. Societies that have allowed this do better than those that don't. If you're really against abortion, and many people are, then there are ways to lessen abortion that you could participate in, hypothetically speaking. One would be to encourage teaching of sex ed. Kids that learn sexual education earlier tend to have less or no sex until later in life. There's less teen sex, less teen pregnancies, less abortions. There's studies been done on this. Whereas the places that taught abstinence only, the reverse was true. There was more teen pregnancies and more abortions in those places. You could encourage education and distribution of contraceptives. Again, having access to that lessens the birth rates. And you could fund research that science is doing into ways to prevent abortion, prevent having a kid in the first place. The pill for men and women, other methods that are possible. Futuristic ideas uh, are out there, but research is ongoing for them. You could fund that, and there's plenty of possibilities out there. Maybe one day we'll have some sort of microchip that could be implanted in the brain that you could manually switch on and off, and only you could do it. So you could literally turn off your reproductive system until you're ready to have a kid. If you had something like that in place, then there wouldn't need to be abortion except for extreme emergencies. But that's future tech that's not here yet. But if you funded that or encouraged research for that, then you're doing something that actively would lessen abortions moving forward, because it's unrealistic to think that you can get it to be illegal. It really is. And it also um, diminishes the ability of people to uh, not be burdened in a way that they don't want to be burdened. You might not like that, and it's understandable, but it's the solution that we have right now because we don't have better solutions. So put your money where your mouth is and fund the research that will lead to better solutions than what we have right now. The idea of just giving it to a woman that wants a baby, well, adoption centers are few. Most of them are religious run. Getting a kid is extraordinarily difficult. Uh, Adopting is very difficult. They won't adopt to single people, broadly speaking. Uh, Homosexual couples, it's harder for them to adopt, and usually they want to adopt more than heterosexual couples. And these taboos or what have you on adoption exist primarily because they're run by religious organizations, whereas more people might be able to adopt if those restrictions weren't in place. Of course, they're going to consider your finances. That makes sense. They're going to look at your past to see if you have had violent past or mental issues. That makes sense. Some of the other loopholes that you have to jump through don't necessarily make sense. So it's not as easy as just saying, well, I'm a woman that wants a baby. Oh, here you go. Here's a baby. It's not that simple of a solution. I think that it's that when we hear, well, bring back God, that's really the problem. The fact is that the less religion places have, the less problems they have. Well, do they still believe in God? They might, but they do so without religion, without the my God says X, your God therefore is wrong, or you, the person, is wrong. Because see, it says right here that you're wrong. See that? It's right here in this book here. And that book was written by God. And they're holding their book and they're saying, well, right here it says you're wrong. See, it says that right here. And this book was written by God. Well, no. It might be the case that neither of those books was written by God, regardless of what your beliefs are. And a way to negate that sort of argument is to simply remove the religions. You have a belief in God, but you don't have the book to point to tell the other person that your God said that they're wrong. And they don't have a book to point to say that you're wrong. And so maybe you two have a disagreement, but you settle it without this appeal to the divine, which there is no argument against because it's God. Who are you to argue against what God says? And if we both believe in God, well, how do we resolve it? Because we have conflicting views. My God is real to me, your God's real to you. My God says you're wrong, your God says I'm wrong. How do we settle that? We can't. The only solution is violence at that point, because it's imprison you or kill you. That's it. That's my only options. I don't have a different option at that point, and neither do you. Bigotry, prejudice, a lot of these things come from the way that people interpret their holy books. And without them, it's very hard to maintain prejudice and bigotry. Although one could, it's harder to justify it because you don't have your holy book to point to. Now, people could still point to a belief in God and say, well, I think that God wants this or that. And it's like, well, that's so what? Let's leave God out of it. What can we do about this problem? Because whatever God may or may not exist, humans are what we know must act upon the problems of this world. God is sitting out of it for whatever reason. So it's not bringing back God to the classroom or anywhere else that's going to solve anything. It's bringing forth good ideas and tackling these difficult problems, including ones of our own making. Not being aware of the outside world, so to speak, is one of those problems that comes sometimes with religion. It's like, well, but I know that there's other religions out there. And I was that way when I was a believer. It's like, yeah, there's other religions, whatever, but it doesn't matter because they're all false. I've got the real one. And I really believed that at the time. And they believe the same thing. Those religions believe the same thing. They believe they've got the right one and that the rest of us are wrong. I think that you could hypothetically believe in a God free from the religious trappings, but doing so might be difficult, and for some it might be impossible. But it's certainly not the reason why things are so bad or not as good as they could be. Those are far more complicated issues than a simple, well, if people just prayed, then things would be better. That doesn't explain churches that get mass shootings because there's plenty of prayer going on there, and yet somebody comes in and blasts everybody away. Well, that person didn't have prayer. Well, how do you know? Well, there's no way to actually show that the idea that you have is correct. If it's just your own personal belief, that's one thing. But if you want to make the statement of this is what's wrong with everything, then you must demonstrate that that is, in fact, what's wrong with everything. You have to show association and correlation. You have to compile data and studies. It's difficult to do that. It's so much easier to just believe that there's a simple solution and a one reason why everything's bad to the problems that we have. But life is not that way. Life is complicated and there's gray shades of gray, and it's going to require deeper thought than, well, problem is people just don't have religion anymore. They just don't have Jesus in their life or God in their life because that's not the issue at all. That's not even close to the issue. So those are my thoughts on that. I suppose I don't have um, more to say. Um, so that's it for now. I guess I'll read chat, and so at this point, if you don't care about chat, you can just stop the thing. And if you do care about chat, then continue to listen because I'm going to talk to the people in chat. Spooky Bed Hair. Hey, hi, hi. Whatever that word is, Gray. I can't pronounce your name for anything. Rajano, and different translations or interpretations of the same book also cause conflict. Right, exactly. There's plenty of different translations available for the Christian Bible. You know, King James, New King James, uh, New International Version, American Standard, American Standard Revised, you know, and the Law Cap Bible. It could go on and on. You know, there's tons of them, and every denomination has a different way of viewing it. And I've seen churches split up for silly, stupid reasons, like let's play live music. No, no, no. We shouldn't have string instruments because in the Bible times they didn't have string instruments. It has to be only sung with your voice. Oh, we have to do these songs that are in the Bible only. We can't do any other songs or whatever. And these sort of petty conflicts split the church in twain. And so the group that wants whatever goes one way, the other group that wants the other thing goes the other way, and they both think they're right. And when you're stuck in the middle of that and you're like, you're both wrong, this is stupid, why are we disagreeing on this? Let's all just, why does this doesn't even really matter, but it does matter. It absolutely does matter because it's a thing that they make matter. Moonpie says, gotinanutshell.com. Yeah, I don't know if is that a real website. Let's find out. Gotinanutshell.com. Let's see what happens if I go there. This gives me a virus. I'm going to be very mad. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, it is! There is a website! Oh my... Oh my word! It's got so much stuff in it. Science, ancient discovery, archaeology, beyond reality, evolution, technology. Okay, I gotta click beyond reality. Okay, this is a whole thing now. This is a whole different hangout now. What's beyond reality? What does that even mean, beyond reality? If it's beyond reality, it's not real at that point. Latest on Beyond Reality, Dark Light to Dark in Russia. Daylight to Dark in Russia. So, sorry. Amos 8, 9, and on that day I will make the sun go down at noon and darken the sky. What? So you think that because it got dark during the daytime in Russia, that means something? Oh my goodness. It's a whole thing. Oh my goodness. So they said, so is this the fulfillment of Amos 8? I don't think so. So why even bother writing the article then? But don't kid yourself. This event shows the scenario is possible. Just happened like the verse declared. Oh my word! Really? Why? Just what do they say about evolution? Let me guess. They deny evolution. Yep. Yep. Pretty much. Yep. It's ID all over the place. This is a horrible website you've given me. I'm gonna have fun with this. Thanks, Moon Pie. Purple rhymes with orange. Greetings, sentient beings. Hi. Hi, Purple. So, would bring... Does anybody in chat think that bringing God back is a solution for anything at all? I mean, in any way, shape, or form? Just to get a poll, kind of an informal poll that has no meaning because it's an extraordinary little sample data set. See my blog post on why Twitter polls are useless and apply it to YouTube. I dare say YouTube poll would even be more useless, especially if you don't have that many subs. But even if you had a lot, it would still be a limited sample size. It would be a very good sample. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. Dr. Walt Brown. I bet that if I look him up, he's not going to be a legitimate scientist. He's going to be a failed scientist. Okay, now I got this whole website to explore. Dang it! Why? Why did you do this to me, Moon Pie? Why? Well, Spooky, I might agree with that sentiment, but it doesn't really answer if bringing God back into the classroom or prayer or whatever is a good idea or not. I mean, obviously, if there wasn't a God, then you can't bring it back since it's not there. He's a young Earth creationist. That's who they're citing in this website. Yeah, so I don't care about what he says, and his doctorate should be removed because he doesn't deserve it anymore, in my view. So, he's a leader of the creation science movement. So he's why they even call it science? Let's just call it creation nonsense movement. Is what it should be called, or pseudoscience would be the proper term. He's 82. My goodness. Still cooking. Yeah. So yeah, that's what this website's all about. Bunch of nonsense. No morality. Yeah. So what's your morality? Going back to the thing that I read here. Okay, if we're against abortion, understandable. Okay, I understand this. It's not you. You're not doing it. You're not participating. So who are you to tell the other woman that they can't end that life? well, you don't like it, sure, but it's not the sin is not upon you, the sin is upon them, if anything. Not everybody would agree with the idea that a baby is a blessing. So, I don't know if Virginia is really actually allowing abortions all the way up to full term or not. Um, Honestly, I haven't looked into it, but yeah. So your morals and ethics, uh, are they really grounded upon God? And examining that question would really lead to a better argument than was produced here. Although this wasn't really an argument per se, it was just kind of like a, this is what I feel about this, stuff that's going on. This is a post that somebody made that I actually do know about and I care about this person. Um, I just disagree with them, is all. And I disagree with them for all the reasons I've already said. Um, well, that's kind of a different topic. Purple rhymes with orange, than what I'm talking about now. Um, there was a question here: do women that have abortions feel bad about it? I would wager that they do. I don't know if any poll has been conducted of women and how they feel about having had an abortion or going to get one. Um, oh, you came in late. Okay, well I can read it again because I mean, might as well. I mean, it's my channel. I can do whatever the bleep I want. um, okay, let me read this again for you, Purple. I've been seen on the news, and this is a post that somebody I know wrote, and I didn't want to say who it was or whatever, so I just isolated it. Anyways, I've been seen on the news and Facebook about New York legalizing abortion all the way up to 9 months of pregnancy. When I heard about that, man, I was mad. How in the world can a woman go and do that? There are plenty of women out there who medically can't have children, and the women who can are killing their babies while pregnant. I think that if you are pregnant and don't want the baby, let a woman who can't have a baby have it. I'm quite sure she would be happy. A baby is a blessing to have. Why on earth would you have an abortion? Not to mention, Virginia is allowing abortions all the way up to full term as well. What has this world come to? I just don't understand how anyone could do that. Do the women who have abortions even feel bad about what they're doing? Do people realize that babies, even when in the mother's womb, can feel pain? Add in all the other problems in this world, it's ridiculous what this world has come to. The problem with this world is that God has been kicked out of schools, the government, and everywhere else. And since people have turned from God, the world is just getting worse. We need to bring God back. So, us being jaded skeptics or atheists, we certainly have our stance on this. Um, the data just doesn't pan out for this being true. But we got to understand that people don't do that sort of research. When you have a belief, you don't look into it to see if it's true. You know it's true. It's like that. Of course, it's true. Critical analysis, critical thinking, logic, doing research. Those are difficult for people to actually learn to do, to want to do, and to buckle down and do. It's like, I'm too busy. I've got all these things going on. I've got to do this and that. I've got to get work. I've got to, take care of this chores or take care of this kid or do whatever the bleep else is going on. And so it's a lot easier to just follow what you think your religion, what you think your church, what you think your God tells you is correct. It's just way easier. than to do the research for yourself. You know, you can call that lazy, I suppose, or you could call it, it's just, I don't know what you could call it, but so that's what I had read, Purple. So, what do you think of that? And so, yeah, I mean, again, I think it's just a matter of trying to find a solution for a difficult problem. And it's like, well, here's the problem. This is really easy. It's because of this. It's like, no. And we get that way with like you point to the, well, it's all the illegal immigrants. They're the reason why we're having so many problems. Or it's the, what, it's tax rates, that's the problem, or whatever. And it's these, you just point at things in desperation, trying to find the one problem, trying to find the reason why the problem exists. Of course, you know it's not gonna you're not gonna figure it out. um Okay, so New York only allows abortions for up to 24 weeks. Yeah. So what about Virginia allowing abortions all the way up to full term? Um, Abortion to full term. Although the abortion thing is kind of one thing that this post is about, I'm kind of more focused on the part about that it's because God isn't in school or the government or whatever. It's been 50 years since prayer was removed from schools, except for, there's still Christian private schools. So, I mean, it's not like it's gone from everywhere. Um, let's see. Looks like they're being debated. Okay, so this is misleading. Uh, Seeking to overturn some abortion restrictions. Okay, so it's late term, but they're doing flip flops on it. So it's under debate then, I guess would be my looking at that. That would be my guess on that. But yeah, I mean, and again, this is kind of like, well, what we hear on the news or what we read on Facebook. Of course, everything you read on Facebook is probably not true. So don't use Facebook as a news anything, because it's not gonna. It's just trying to get you to click on stuff. But yeah, it's way easy to listen to news and just believe that it's true, and of course, you got to be way more skeptical of the news, especially in this day and age, unfortunately. Um, Every time a teacher passes out a math test, there's a prayer in school. The law just says that teachers can't force kids to pray, right? And there was a thing brought up about. I remember there was a whole thing with having a moment in silence in schools, and that was debated and finally gotten rid of. And school is not the place for that. That's what church is for. There's that, unless you're doing a private school that's, whatever your religion is, then you can have it set up however you want it set up. Of course, school in and of itself could be fixed, but that's a whole nother thing. So, yeah. Um, so, yeah, I don't have more to add to this. That the studies just plainly show that places without religion do better than places with religion. That having prayer there's no association and causation to show that prayer uh, changes how people are going to uh, feel in their life. Where's the data set to show how many women have gotten abortions that happen to be religious. We don't have that data to look at. So these are beliefs, but they're not beliefs backed by anything other than more beliefs. And I think that that's a problem. So it's not a solution, and it's not really even the problem in the first place. It's far more complicated than that. And it just feels to me that if God exists, then it not being in school, well, how could you kick God out of anywhere if it's everywhere? Okay, that's all I got for now. Until next time, bye.